Okay, everyone, we are back. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you for those of you who joined us last week as well. We do appreciate you coming on for all 4 days of SEO week, and we hope you all have learned a lot. Today, we're talking about advanced tactics for omni-channel growth. Sorry, we're just having a little bit of issues with our screen sharing right now, folks. Just give us 1 second. Great. So before we get started, I did want to share a little bit about SEO week for those of you who are joining us for the first time today. Now, we started SEO week 4 years ago as an ode to one of our unofficial mascots and one of our spiritual leaders, Albert Einstein. Einstein's birthday falls on Pi Day every year, which is March 15th. So on this same week every single year for the last 4 years, we've celebrated his never-ending search for answers with our own week dedicated to search. So we do welcome all of you and hope you enjoy SEO Week 4.0 and this final session we have. Today on the agenda, we're first going to start talking about some moments of truth, right? What are the moments in the customer journey that matter most to your individual shoppers? Next, we'll explore a little bit more about the omni-channel approach to marketing online. We'll then review the digital trifecta, as we call it, talking about 3 areas which need to be combined to have a complete digital strategy. We'll dive in a little bit into data and analysis and how to make sure all your channels are aligning with one another. And we'll finish out today by talking about how to build your omni-channel strategy. And finally, when we have time, answer a few of your questions at the end. Today, we're excited to have 2 speakers on the line with us. For those of you who were here yesterday, you heard our SEO director, Hala Ali, talk about how to optimize Amazon for SEO. And today we welcome Don Rodriguez, one of the veterans here at NetElixir, who is our director of analytics, who will help dive a little bit deeper into some of the different omni-channel relationships. But before I introduce Hala and Don, I did want to share a little bit of information about NetElixir with you. NetElixir is a specialist search marketing firm dedicated to helping you decode what makes people click. What do we mean by this? We mean we don't want to just look at the numbers and just look at AdWords or Search Console or any of the other tools that just primarily deal with your marketing. Instead, we want to understand your actual customers, what drives them, what motivates them, what their journeys look like. And by doing this, we're able to dig deeper and connect your brand with your customers in a way that makes sense for both of you. We do this through services including paid search management, SEO, display, paid social, Amazon and marketplaces, and various marketing technology solutions along with it. Our team is comprised of over 120 plus fanatically analytical search marketers operating in 3 countries around the globe, making sure that your campaigns are always getting the right time and attention. One of our values is we help you own the search bar. So no matter where your customers are searching, whether it be on search engines, social media sites, marketplaces, or even networks that don't exist today but may in the future, our goal always has been and will be to help you own all of those search bars and make sure that consumers can connect from and buy from your brand. We're proud to say that we're a Google Premier partner, a Bing Select agency, and the exclusive UPS search marketing partner. We work with brands across nearly every major retail category, including consumer electronics, flowers and gifting, apparel, department stores, cosmetics, kitchenwares, eyewears, and everywhere in between. But now that we've talked a little bit about us, I think it's time we get into the main portion of our presentation today, where we talk about SEO from an omni-channel perspective. Now, I think the mantra we've had throughout the week and that will continue on today is that despite the best intentions of separating your team into specific groups, customers don't care about your silos. They care about their own experience shopping with your brand. And now I'd like to hand it over to Hala and Don to give you the full gist of the omni-channel approach. Hala, Don, take it away.
Thank you, Stephen. So today we're here to discuss omni-channel growth. As an organic marketer, when people come to me and clients come to me and they say, how can you improve our organic growth? I get stuck in a vortex because I can't help organic unless I understand what they're doing in every other marketing channel. The problem is customers today are engaging with different domains, with different brands from different channels and applications. They're coming to you from different devices. They're coming to you from different platforms. And each of the customers coming from these different platforms are actually from different demographics. People who are within the age 55 to 65 actually click on the paid ads more than they do organic searches, and they come more from tablets than they do from mobile devices. The customers engaging on mobile devices actually are younger. They're the millennials, but they don't spend as much and they engage more through organic than any other channel. Considering these differences in customer engagement, it's your job to capture them across all the digital platforms. So if you are speaking to your marketers only from one silo, asking them what they're doing for organic, what they're doing for paid, then you are losing out in a lot of engagement from different demographics. So to create a diverse audience, you really need to engage in an omni-channel vision. The best practice is to understand that your customer wants you to personalize their consumer journey. If you are not able to understand that every single path is important, you will lose out a lot of consumers. You'll create friction in your marketing strategy. The fact is, the IDA linear model is now dead. You have to identify moments of truth from your specific customer journeys and match them to the different channels. If your demographic is 55 to 65, focus on your paid and diversify by trying to create a younger organic journey. However, to make that consistent, you have to offer a seamless shopping experience. Customers can simultaneously use different channels in their shopping process, starting their journey in one channel and finishing in another. They're given chances to create their own preferable shopping routines. Omnichannels help offer customer the seamless shopping experience, and retailers can basically engage the consumers better if they have a centralized data management system. Using multi-channels, retailers adapt as many channels as possible, but managing them separately. However, the omnichannel vision provides retailers a more centralized data management. So the bottom line is retailers have to be available where the customers are and engage with them in the way customers want engagement. So how do we offer the seamless shopping experience? You have to have a well-designed e-commerce site. However, that is not enough. Modern consumers can and will interact with retail products from a variety of different channels. They might engage with you on social platforms. They might engage with you on apps that you have created. So it's your job to connect these different shopping experiences and make them as seamless as possible. You could have a consumer that's spending $1 or a consumer that's spending $10,000. What do they have in common? They both want a friction-free process. So it's up to the retailers to ensure that across the consumer journey, in every moment, they provide a friction-free process. So what does this mean for retailers? How can retailers take advantage of this omnichannel engagement? Many agencies are today using keywords like micro moments, customer journeys, retargeting, affinity groups. These phrases are usually taken in the perspective of paid references. So where can you engage organic within this omnichannel strategy? Google actually defines omnichannel as ensuring retail marketing strategies are geared toward enabling customers to convert on any channel. So how does organic take advantage of this omnichannel? Organic is great for brand management. It can create the connections between social, paid, Amazon, and more. This is where you reinforce your message. It's where you have the least control over your consumer or what message you're giving to the consumer. However, it gives you the most control in terms of how you want to engage your consumer. So if you want a more diverse audience or a younger audience, this is where you can tailor your brand voice. On paid, you engage specific demographics. Over here, you can engage a variety of demographics. So the role of organic channel is really changing. Previously, you could really just focus on keywords, focus on adding stuff to the meta title, and you were good. Backlinks, create a backlink strategy, create PR, get a PR agency and focus on that. But that can no longer bring success in the way it was doing in the past. Just look at this stat. According to JumpShot, the CTR of organic results is nearly 20 times that of paid results. However, how the consumers are engaging is changing. You could be #1 ranking brand for certain keyword, but the number of clicks for that keyword keeps going down. So if you look at this chart, you can see right over here that in around 2016, when the mobile update took place, the number of no clicks started increasing. No clicks means a person searches, let's say, lighting products. They get the organic results, but they don't click there because the results might not be what they're looking for. They might decide, I'll go into Facebook and see what they have. They might decide, I'll go into Amazon and see what they have. So the number of no clicks is increasing consistently. We've seen a 7 to 8% drop in organic traffic year over year across the board in every single industry. Does that mean the importance of organic has gone down? No. It simply means that the number of searches has changed, how people are engaging with your brand and with your website within the organic results is changing. So as a lot of searches now have no clicks, so even if you rank #1, you're losing clicks. So how can you replace those clicks? How can you replace those sessions? The conversions and revenue are actually replacing leads. Traffic is no longer an indicator of success. If your organic marketer is not focusing on your bottom line revenue, the bounce rate on your page, and how the users are interacting with your website, you're not getting the right organic data. You really have to look at how your consumer engages with your website if you're going to get the right data insights from your brand. So next we come to how all this comes together: earned, owned, and paid, the digital trifecta. And right here, I'm going to hand it over to Don, who is the head of our analytics team and has a great mind for any form of data.
Thank you, Hala. Okay, so first, I'm going to take you through sort of this framework to think about digital marketing. And I have to give credit where credit is due. It was actually an executive recruiter, Harry Joyner. Some of you on this call may be familiar with him. He owns ecommercejobs.com, who turned me on to this framework probably I guess it was when I first met him about 5 or 6 years ago. It's a pretty straightforward framework to understand. Admittedly, the strategy and execution that comes out of this framework is a bit tougher, but let me at least walk you through the framework. On the top right, paid media, it's pretty obvious what paid media covers, right? This is any kind of ad placement that you buy, right? Even including, paid, blog mentions, all right? On the bottom here, owned media. The way to think about owned media is I kind of think about owned content. It's your content, whether that's on your website, in your app, on social media, on YouTube. The purpose for owned media is to help you get found organically, right? So it's bringing you basically free traffic. That's the idea behind owned media. And then earned media on the top left, right? This is the exposure that you get on third-party media, websites, whatever, right? That you're earning through your content marketing strategy, right? So now let's look at some tips for how you can sort of shape your omni-channel strategy, right? So first, and for those of you who probably don't know anything about me, I spent time on the client side of the table. I ran an e-commerce channel for a company for almost 5 years. So, and I was telling Hollow this earlier, I was very much the siloed viewpoint when I was running that business, right? So the first point here is consider hiring an agency that can help you across the individual acquisition channels, right? So think integrated for both paid and organic search, organic and paid social, and if you're in that space, marketplaces. Again, speaking from my own personal experience, I had an agency for SEO, I had an agency for paid search, I had another agency for affiliates, I had another agency for comparison shopping engines, right? I was very much in a siloed world, and to try to even think about how I would integrate an approach across all 4 of those channels makes my head hurt. So the second point, stop focusing on ROI of each channel and instead start thinking about ROI of different customer journeys. And we're going to talk about customer journeys in a little bit. And then the third point, here are a couple of questions to help sort of guide your strategy and how you can go about answering those questions. So the first point, how could your target customer, target audience interact with your brand, right? And the way you answer that is through your own internal research, right? Second question, how are they interacting with my brand today, right? Analytics, we're going to talk about several tools specifically in the Google ecosystem that can help you understand that. And then the third question, probably the most important question, is how should they interact with your brand, right? And that's where the strategy comes in. So now let's talk about how you can analyze some of this omni-channel data. And I'm going to be specifically talking about tools that are available in the Google ecosystem, AdWords, Google Analytics, okay? First point, I hit a wrong button.
You're fine.
Yeah, thank you, okay. This image here is from a study that I did here at NetElixir a couple years back. That is a screen grab from a conversion path report in Google Analytics, an actual conversion path report. In that study, I found conversion paths that had over 350 customer touch points before they converted, right? So single touch point attribution, which is the most common type of attribution that digital marketers that I'm aware of and our client base uses. For example, Google Analytics is the default attribution of Google Analytics is a version of last click attribution. Makes really little sense in a world where in every business that I've looked at since I've been here at NetElixir, 50 to 60% of the conversions are multi-touch point conversions, right? So you're missing out and using basically a flawed approach when you're using single touch point attribution to decide who gets the marketing credit for a multi-touch point conversion. So let me give you an example. So you've got an SEO team in-house working on a specific set of keywords, and guess what? They get you for a specific query, they get you the top positions in organic. Now, despite that visibility improvement, you're looking at organic revenue and it's not growing, right? So a siloed view of that data would say, hey, my SEO effort is not working. When in reality, right, it could be the fact that you've got a paid search ad running for that specific query, and essentially the paid search ad is getting the clicks, right? And it's possible that by having a paid search ad on that search engine results page along with your organic listing actually is giving you incremental clicks between the two. I told Hollow this story earlier today. The way I got introduced to NetElixir, almost 10 years ago, when I was working on the client side, it was a paper. It was a paper entitled 1 + 1 = 3, and it was the idea of running ads on search engine pages where you have a strong organic presence. And NetElixir had done some research that showed that by adding the paid search ads, you actually get an incremental boost in total click volume from that page. And it's something that we see still holds true today. So now we're going to look at some tools in that Google ecosystem that can help you kind of move out of the world of this siloed view into a more integrated view. So some of you may not be aware of this report. I, to be honest, just became aware of this report about 3 weeks ago. In the new AdWords interface, and I'll hold all comments on the design of the new AdWords interface, there is an ability to create a report which lets you look at your organic clicks and your paid clicks on a given search term query. I'll say that again. So you now have the ability to look at, by search term, how many organic clicks, how many paid clicks you got for that term. It's a pretty powerful report. And I'll just run through here. So this number here is the total number of results found for the query. So if you look at this example down here, there was 4,618 results found. Here's the organic clicks. Here's the paid clicks. Here's the total number of queries. So right here, you can get like a click share. It's 4,300. You can see for this particular word, this client got about 30-something clicks in total, right? So I could think of two ways that you can really leverage this data. First and foremost, going back to our previous example, you can use this report to figure out, hey, is my paid ad basically poaching clicks from organic, right? Or said differently, is my paid ad bringing me extra incremental clicks because I have an ad and organic listing? Another way you can use this report is to identify areas, for example, where, and I just looked at this for another client yesterday, a very strategic product category for that client, they're buried almost near the bottom of page 2 in Google, right? And we all know that most people don't go to page 2 when they're looking at organic results, right? Barely anybody goes down to the bottom of the page anymore when they're looking at organic results. So through this report, they're able to see that they were getting no organic clicks because they're buried on the bottom of page 2, and they're getting some clicks on paid. But we had the conversation about, well, should we go boost our paid spend on that keyword because the organic is lacking? And then also the other action item was to go look at what page is being delivered for that query and whether or not that's the right page and what they can do on a site-side point of view to try and boost that. So those are two ways you can use this new report. One important point, you have to link your Search Console account to your AdWords account in order to enable this. I can just hit this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Second tool you have. This is a view of the attribution model comparison report in Google Analytics. This shows you a way to sort of assess value by position in your customer's journey for each of the channels in Google Analytics. I have circled organic here to show you the difference, for example, between the two single touch point attribution models, last interaction or last click, and first interaction or first click, and then what Google calls the position-based model. And you can see here that under last interaction, the organic search for this particular client generated 7,300 orders. And if you look over to first interaction, it was 10,600. And then a position-based approach gives that organic channel credit for 8,800, right? So just so you know, position-based means it gives a lot of credit to the first interaction, a lot of credit to the last interaction, and then it spreads the rest of the value between any interactions in between, right? So you can think of it more of a more more equitable distribution, right? But just that difference there of what, almost more than 3,000 conversions between first interaction and last interaction shows you that just looking at a single click model really is misleading and can be misleading, right? For those of you not familiar with this section of Google Analytics, there are 7 different models you can use and compare your marketing efforts against. And it also allows you to do custom models. Things like, for example, you can take direct visits out, right, which really have no marketing dollars associated with them. So, we wrote a white paper on this topic back, I think, in 2015. So if anyone's interested in that white paper, send us a note and we'll show you where to find that on our website. Now I'm going to turn it over to Hala, who's going to talk to you about, that third part, how users should interact with your brand, ways that you can shape the strategy in a omnichannel world.
Thanks, Don. That was very insightful. So the reason we decided to do this webinar on omnichannel growth is because as an organic marketer, I'm constantly coming across a barrier with clients where they don't seem to understand that organic channel cannot work in silos. I recently actually lost a client because he kept insisting that in 2012, again, no, 2012, he was doing very well organically, and he was not in any way doing any form of paid or social marketing. I kept trying to make him understand that the search bar has now changed. Previously, you got 10 results for organic and maybe 1 for paid. Currently, you have the 4-deck display ad, you have the shopping display, all paid mediums, and you only get a chance for about 3 or 4 good organic results. That's a huge difference. So what you could do from organic in 2012 has changed dramatically in 2018 and will continue to change because the marketplaces are in the business of making money. Search engines are in the business of making money. And as retailers, you are in the business of making money. So if you are not considering an omni-channel view and then suggesting that the paid channels or the social channels or the organic channel marketers are not doing their job when they can't get you the results you did in 2012, there is a definite communication gap. So how do we work as organic marketers to maximize your profit and growth? So the first thing we do is we actually work with all the different teams to create that omni-channel vision. So just as an example, consider using different tactics to support all the channels. For example, you can use the paid team to come up with a keyword research, all the keyword research, and determine what is worth going after for in SEO. If you have a high conversion rate on certain keywords, you could ask your organic team to work on those keywords as well. If they work on the same landing page, create the same brand voice, and create that journey where the customer gets the same tone everywhere, you will see a better conversion rate. If there are certain high purchase intent keywords within SEO, you could then utilize that for PPC or any other paid medium. The advantage of the paid marketing campaigns is they'll give you instant results in terms of creating your hypothesis. So if you have a good conversion rate, you get instant results. You have the data there. For SEO, any strategy implemented has to be long-term and sustainable. So what we do as an organic marketing team is take all the data from the paid teams, whether it's social or Amazon or paid as a PPC, and we look at where they're doing well, which campaigns are doing well, what are the specific keywords that do well, and then we try to implement that within our SEO campaign. Once that is done, we definitely see an improvement within the whole digital marketing strategy. So the paid does better. Recently, we had a client that was not doing well in organic, and I had Don look into it, and he's like, "Hala, the paid is, cannibalizing your SEO." And when we actually looked at the data, there was a positive correlation because every time the paid did well, organic did well as well. Looking at that example, Creating an Amazon brand store is definitely a must-have. You get good data from there in terms of CTR, what keywords really convert well. And second of all, again, you create that customer journey where nothing breaks. You're everywhere. Your brand is everywhere. With customers going more towards price and less towards brand loyalty, it is essential to engage in these sort of insights. So how do you understand your data? We say, a very heavily data-concentric team. However, the problem retailers right now have is that they have a lot of data. They have years worth of data. However, the problem is, are they getting the right insight from that data? So you have to know the context of your data before you can determine any hypothesis or do any form of testing on the website. So you have to look at your channel, you have to look at your audience, you have to look at your industry and the moments in which people are engaging. Recently, one of our paid media analysts determined that the weather outside actually increased some of their paid campaigns. That means if it's snowing outside, people are searching inside their homes more. So that gives them a better opportunity to change their paid campaigns according to the weather, which is amazing. I mean, you did not have that sort of data, but unless and until someone made that connection, you would not be able to take advantage of it either. So the context you have the data, you determine your data is very important. The type of data, who is accessing it. The 45 to 65 age group engages with the digital websites completely different from the way an 18 to 25-year-old does. A person on the mobile phone, completely different engagement than that of a person working on the desktop. How is that data then collected? Where can you then apply that data? All of that is essential in creating the right insights. And in the end, that is where you'll get the value exchange. That is where you will understand where to apply that data and create that insight that you really, really need. In the end, what is really important is the brand message. Since all the customers are engaging with you through different channels, through different mediums, through different platforms, brand messaging becomes essential. Brand messaging has to be consistent across all the channels. You can't use certain tone in your organic and a different tone in your social and a completely different tone in your paid marketing. When a customer is engaging with your brand, they should know that they are engaging with your brand and it's not a reseller in China that's doing the marketing. So consider just one journey. It starts with organic, moves to social for reviews, enters Amazon for price, and then ends at your website for the actual purchase. If even one of the channels differentiates in terms of marketing, the consumer hits a marketing gap and the journey breaks and you've lost a customer. So changing your message across the different channels creates confusion for your customers. So you have to get on the same page. The visuals, the messaging, the tone, the pricing, the offers that are being made must all be coordinated across all the different channels. It's an absolute must in order to ensure a friction-free journey. So what are some of the steps that you can take to create an omni-channel strategy? Again, there are various ways, depending on what channel you are on, how your customer engages with your store, whether you have a physical store or not, it all comes into it. But for a very basic strategy, here's an example. Number one, you have to form your hypothesis. What is it that you're trying to prove? So if, for example, if you have a paid campaign which is performing very well, then if that same campaign or the concept of it were created within organic listings, it should give you results that are just as good. So what are some of the key considerations you should be thinking about? The demographics, understanding how different groups interact with each channel. Again, as I said before, the 55 to 65 group engages more with paid. And then it's the 18 to 25 that engages more with organic. How could you differentiate that? What are the keywords that you're targeting? Can you compare apples to apples and go after the already successful keywords from the paid campaign? or maybe take certain verbiage from the campaigns. One of our paid campaigns was doing really well with the keyword free shipping. So they were really focusing on that perspective of the campaign. We started implementing that into our metadata, and we saw immediate results and better conversion. So just taking these sort of small insights will really have an effect on your bottom line. The third and most important factor is the landing page. Don't make drastic changes across the different channels. If you're working on one keyword or a set of keywords, have a set of landing pages that are consistent, because if you have too many variables in your test, you won't know exactly where the data, what sort of data you have to really look at. The insights won't be as effective. So if you have a landing page for a paid campaign, try to use that same landing page for organic as well, and for social. If you have that consistent message across the board, you'll see definitely better results in terms of insights. You also have to know where that data lives. So if you go into Google Webmaster Tool, the console, you'll get ranking data for some of the competitive keywords. You go to the AdWords for the paid campaign insights. You can use tools like Solve and Answer the Public for trending keywords to gain even more insights. And then Amazon and social platforms can provide their own data. All of this then should then be pulled into one Excel sheet, and you determine which are the key phrases that you think you should be focusing on. Now it's time to run your campaign. You've identified the highest potential keywords and you begin building your campaign. If paid traffic is going to the canonical pages you want ranked in organic, the possibility of the pages ranking increases as social visibility increases. So for the Google algorithms, as an example, Google is really focusing on what the user wants. So if you have a high bounce rate on a page that you've really optimized well for organic, chances are it's going to be bumped down in ranking as well. Simply because Google really wants to give the user what they're looking for. The user's intent is essential. So if you have a buyer page which is focused on the buyer's intent, don't give too much information there. You have to create a separate landing page for the informational intent, and then you can optimize that for a separate keyword within the same content group. So again, it's essential to understand the user's intent, because user experience is what Google's algorithms are now focused on. Amazon's, as we discussed yesterday, are already focused on that. But Google now wants to give the user exactly what they're using or looking for. So if you don't have that on your pages, you're going to lose it. Now, after that, you want to test all the data. As I said, paid gives immediate results. So if you have a paid campaign running, you can look at the results over there and then try to determine over a couple of months how the organic is doing. Organic strategies over here at NetElixir, we usually focus on quarterly strategies. Sometimes we get faster results and then we can implement it across the site. However, usually we just take it category-wise, and over a quarter, whatever data we gather, we then consolidate it across the paid and social and try to gain our insights through that. It gives us much better success rates, and it gives us bottom line growth. We maximize the growth potential for our users. So wrapping up, in the end, data insights and data centralization is the key to solving retail problems. Again, if your data is in silos and you have different heads that are managing the data, they can create insights that are actually erroneous. And then you will have failed campaigns due to that data insight. So to incorporate an omnichannel strategy, the buyer's journey must be mapped out. Don't look at what you want the buyers to do. Find out what your buyers are already doing and then map out the journey. Again, it's like the mobile first algorithm Google took out. Initially, you designed for the desktop. Then Google said, go responsive. Then it said, go mobile first. That means use an inverted pyramid form. First, you optimize for the mobile user and then go on to desktop. Similarly, your website architecture should be based on what your user wants, not what you think your user wants. And then you take the strategy and build upon it. Optimize each touch point for the customer needs. Again, this takes a lot of change in your strategy. You might have to make monthly changes as you're doing A/B testing. It might take weekly changes in marketplaces. Whatever it is, hypothesis it is you're testing, you have to test, retest, and keep testing because the customers keep changing. Optimizing and creating the brand consistency for messaging is next. Brand consistency across the board is essential. Your writers, your content writers must understand that whatever campaign they create in social must be consistent and organic, same brand tone used on the informational pages, on your blogs, or any other off-market marketing you might be doing. That means if you have a physical store, the same tone should be used there, because that's where your direct channel comes in. So it's essential overall to measure the various data points and KPIs like customer lifetime value, customer profitability, and customers' engagement. You can't base your organic strategy on how your keywords are ranking, even though it is important. You can't base your strategy on that. Or you cannot even base it on how many sessions you're getting per year, because year over year, organic sessions are declining. However, if you do not have an organic presence, 45% of searches start in organic. So you're losing out on 45% of the traffic you could have if you don't create an effective SEO strategy. So in the end, each channel has to be friction-free and has to work together, and that is where this foundation of success is built. You have to focus on your consumer, and only then will you be able to create a strategy that is maximized in terms of growth, profitability, and customer attribution. And with that, I'll hand it over to Stephen, because this wraps up our 4-day SEO week. Stephen?
Thank you so much, Hala. That was great. A lot of great insights from both you and Don. Now, for those of you who have been asking, I've gotten probably 30 emails in the past couple days. Can we get the slides? Can we get the recordings? Maybe you missed a day, or maybe you would just like to reference the information again. If you go to NetElixir.com, click on our University tab, you'll see that we have a section with all of our on-demand webinars. And at the conclusion of SEO Week today, we will be uploading all the recordings as well as all the slides so that you have access to these whenever you'd like them. So you can check that out at netelixir.com/university/all-webinars, or just follow the prompts on your screen for that. I would now like to take a little time to ask everyone to start typing their questions. We have one more slide to go to, but I want to make sure we're able to fit in as many questions as we can before we're done. My last prompt, for those of you who weren't here the past few days, I will let you know that we are offering a free SEO analysis. All you have to do is go to netelixir.com/contact, give us a little bit of information about your site and about your goals, and we'll get back to you within the next couple days with some information about running a free SEO analysis for you. So just go to netelixir.com/contact and we'll get that set up. So it looks like we have just a couple questions today. Steve was asking, can you give a few quick ideas for how to identify the best keywords in this process? Hala, Don, would you like to jump in?
Sure. How to identify the quick ideas for how to identify the best keywords. So where I would start is your AdWords account. So if you have an AdWords account and you can do your keyword research there, pull all of that out. If you have some campaigns running, look at the keywords that give you the highest return for the least amount of money and the most amount of money and the CTR overall. Get those keywords, again, put it in the same Excel sheet. Go into, you can use tools like Tools and Answer the Public, and you'll get a diversity. Uber Suggest, you can go into Google Suggest as well. Yep. And, pull out all that data and have that right in front of you. And if you have run previous campaigns, compare it, check it, and check it against the higher search volume. However, how we like to start it is, again, the inverted pyramid form. We take the keywords that have low searches but higher conversion. So even if 20 people are searching for it, we optimize for it because it gives us higher conversion. People get exactly what they're looking for compared to the very highly competitive keywords that might bring you 20,000 people, but only you get 2 converting. So you really look for those 4 to 5 key phrases where you can actually get better conversion.
Great, thank you,
I
Hala.
hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you, Hala. And I think this last one is best for Don, asking a little bit more about the different attribution models you shared. Is there one that you prefer over the others?
No, I think that's well, there's two things. One, it's a business decision on which attribution model you use, and two, you really should evaluate them, each of them, to determine which model is going to bring you the best bang for your marketing dollar, right? So again, I'll reference the study we did a few years back. We actually sort of walk you through an exercise on how you can do that. But you know, that is sort of I think the best approach is you actually evaluate all 7 of them for your unique business, right? And try and estimate which one's going to bring you the best return for your marketing investment.
Great, thank you, Don. Appreciate the insight. All right, everyone, we're about out of time. I want to thank you all again for joining us for the 4th annual SEO week. I hope you all learned as much as I did, and we look forward to seeing you on our future webinars. As a sneak peek, this April, we're going to be diving into voice search with some original research, as well as some additional insights from Bing and Google. So please join us come April for that next webinar. And I wish you all a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, everyone.